guys, I've had a few requests for the recipe for my pasta I've been obsessed with lately, so the slim pasta recipe. Really, it's very basic, but I'm actually prepping one now, so I thought I'd run you guys through it. So first I always brown the mince. So one really good tip that I find when preparing your mince is I always buy the 500 gram packs and I just divide that between 3 meals. So each meal is about 166 grams to be exact, but I don't actually weigh it out. I cook the whole amount, divide it by 3 and eat them over 3 days. So over 3 days is still consuming 500 grams. Might not be obviously exact in each meal, but for me that's close enough with my goals, and I know that I don't have to fuss around weighing my meat every time. So this is the famous pasta, not famous, but it's what I will use all the time. I love the idea of eating pasta and eating really voluminous meals. So this one here is only 10 calories a serve. You find it in most supermarkets, normally just in the health food section. So the recipe I'm doing today calls for zucchini. So I'm doing 80 grams of zucchini and I just grate that straight into the bowl that I'm mixing everything in with. Exactly 80. So although I'm preparing 3 meals today, I tend to make each at one at a time, just because that way I can mix the zucchini, the pasta, the sauce and the mince all in together and pop it in a container. It takes literally 10 seconds to mix it all together once the mince is brown, so it's really efficient and really quick. But to mix the pasta and everything in like 3 lots in one bowl, you need a very big bowl. Okay, so I've got my konjac noodles, my slim pasta drained. You don't actually need to cook it or anything like that. You just drain it and rinse it, so it's drained. And I'll mix that in with my zucchini. I'm totally multitasking right now, so excuse like the steam going on here. I'm just prepping some of Chase's baby food. I've got sweet potato on the go. Okay, so here is my mince, and like I said, I've kind of just separated it into 3 portions, and that's how I go about prepping and separating it for the meals. So just 1 portion in there with this one. So I've just got pasta, zucchini and mince so far. So then sauce wise, don't pin me down with having to have this one. This is the one I've been obsessed with the last few weeks, so it's answering the question that I did get via email. So it is a Legos brand pasta bake, but you don't have to only use that one. I find this one's pretty good because it doesn't have sugar as the first ingredient. But what I used to do a while back when I made a lot of my kangaroo spaghetti bolognese is I just use a can of tomatoes, so plain can of tomatoes and Italian herbs. So that's kind of a bit of a, I guess, fresher way of prepping it, but I find that this is really delicious, and dividing it between 3 meals, it's a really good option. Here is another one of my sneaky tricks. Whenever I'm weighing out something like a sauce or anything that's liquid like yogurt or anything like that, I put it on the scales first and then I turn them on, so that way it's actually set to 0, and then I scoop out the amount of sauce I need, so in this case 200 grams. So 10 more. Exactly 200 just for the camera. So I find that this is a much better way of doing it, because you sort of, if you are eating yogurt or something like that, you can actually lick the spoon because you know you've got the exact amount, and that way you don't have to sort of try and pour and put it back in the jar and things like that, because you have a really simple way of measuring it out. So this seriously is how easy this recipe is, and the reason I guess I've been obsessed with it for a few weeks. Just raw zucchini grated in, mince, spaghetti, and then any kind of sauce. That one is the one I like to use. And then you pop that in a container with a bit of cheese on top, weighed out as well. I'll show you the cheese that I use. And that's your meal done. So it really is 10 seconds. Lasts in the fridge for probably 3 days. I never leave meat meals in there any longer than that. And that way you have dinner sorted, and it's a really low calorie option. So I'll post up all the ingredients and also the macros for you so you can copy it down from this video. So because the jar is 500 grams and the recipe called for about 200 grams of sauce, but I made 3 meals, I only had 100 grams left for the last meal, and I decided to roll with that rather than open another whole jar just for that one meal. The reason why is I'll have less calories in one meal, so I can tell which one it is because it obviously looks less saucy, which means I'll be able to have more dessert that day. So who wouldn't complain about that? Alright, cheese time. So the cheese I've been using lately is the Coles mozzarella light cheese. There's a lot of options out there, but I try and look for the smartest cheese to use so I can get more for my buck, as far as more for your calories, I should say. So with the cheese, I've just got my meal on the scales there, and I'm going to add just 20 grams on top. Yep, perfect. Then when I eat the meal, I'll just about pop it in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes. It will make the zucchini nice and soft throughout the spaghetti, and the cheese will of course melt on top. So I guess you could do it a different way and bake it. The sauce I use actually past bake sauce, but that's how I do it. Simple, quick and easy. To mix that whole meal took me like 3 minutes. So really, people say they don't have time to prep, they're lying. Hope you guys have enjoyed this recipe. I'd love to hear what other recipes you want to know about, and of course other creations that I put on my Snapchat if you want to know a bit more about them. Make sure you send me an email to askgrace@powerfitbygrace.com, and I look forward to producing more and more videos with more of my tips and tricks. Enjoy!
sad songs